And I go to church and I love God and I love my church.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
Now, one of the things that I have learned about Hillary Clinton is that one of her heroes, her mentors, was Saul Alinsky. And her senior thesis was about Saul Alinsky. This was someone that she greatly admired and that affected all of her philosophies subsequently. Now, interestingly enough, let me tell you something about Saul Alinsky. He wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. On the dedication page, it acknowledges Lucifer, the original radical who gained his own kingdom. Now, think about that. This is a nation where our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, talks about certain inalienable rights that come from our Creator. This is a nation where our Pledge of Allegiance says we are one nation under God. This is a nation. This is a nation where every coin in our pocket and every bill in our wallet says, "In God we trust." So are we willing to elect someone as president who has as their role model somebody who acknowledges Lucifer? Think about that.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
And John, before we get to that, I wanted to bring our viewers up to date on a story that is breaking right now that I just learned about within the last 15 or 20 minutes. As you know, there are many dignitaries gathered at the scene, including Republican nominee Donald Trump and the Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, who was at Ground Zero, was there for the ceremony, and left unexpectedly, left early because of what appeared to be a medical episode. I have a law enforcement source who was there, who was 15 feet away from Hillary Clinton. He says she was standing on a curb with her protective detail waiting for her motorcade. They were surprised to see her because she wasn't supposed to be leaving yet, so they had to wait for the motorcade 2 or 3 minutes. When it finally rolled up, my source says she stumbled off the curb, appeared to faint, lost one of her shoes that wound up underneath the van. Her protective detail, I'm told, helped her into that van, and then the van took off, presumably in the direction of a hospital. They grabbed her shoe and flagged down the rest of her detail. Her shoe was given to that detail who was following the other 2 vehicles, and they left Ground Zero early just moments ago because of some apparent medical episode that Hillary Clinton was suffering.
The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Selah.
Good afternoon, Shannon. Hillary Clinton was among the numerous dignitaries who gathered at the Memorial Plaza for the ceremony today, marking 15 years since 9/11. But she left well before the others, more than 3 hours before the ceremony was scheduled to end. And we were the first to report it here this morning after I was told by a law enforcement source that she appeared to be have a medical issue and had to be taken out of the Ground Zero area. And in fact, now there is video that backs up the account that I was given by a law enforcement source who was very close to the presidential candidate, some 15 feet away, when she was standing on the curb waiting for her van, and you can see her unsteady on her feet. Her knees appear to buckle as she steps off the curb, and twice it appears that the people around her, her protective detail, had to help her into that van, which then took off. My source told me, and apparently you can see on the video as well, one of her shoes actually came off when she stumbled off the curb, and that shoe wound up underneath the van. Someone else grabbed it, gave it to others in her detail so that they could give it to her when she went to her daughter Chelsea's apartment, where about an hour ago she emerged waving, smiling at people, telling her she was just fine and what a beautiful day it was in New York.
Are we willing to elect someone as president who has as their role model somebody who acknowledges Lucifer? Think about that.
I'm here with Dr. James Dobson. Dr. Dobson, great to see you, great to have you here.
It's been a wonderful day.
What's your impressions about today?
I feel like it was historic. Only God knows where we're headed as a nation, but this gathering of God's people, sincerely, actually on their knees, 1,000 people praying together, that's a good thing.
Have you seen anything like this in your years of ministry?
Never. No.
Never.
No, I'm sure it's occurred, but not that I've seen.
What would you want a listener to come away with? You and I were here today for the whole event. What would you want to say to a listener?
Of course, Donald Trump was here, and we were genuinely seeking the Lord's direction in the things that he said. He's sometimes kind of obscure in the way he answers questions, and we wanted to ask him directly and then follow-up questions and so on. We got a chance to do that and got a chance to interact with him. He's a lot nicer guy than you realize.
That's what struck me today.
Yeah.
It was a gentler Trump than I'd seen. It was a little bit. I was a little bit taken aback by that in a good way.
Well, I was too, and I think he is listening. There are a lot of people ministering to him personally. A lot of ministers who are not. He did accept a relationship with Christ. I know the person who led him to Christ.
Really?
And that's fairly recent.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't know when it was, but it has not been long.
Wow.
And I believe he really made a commitment, but he's a baby Christian. We all need to be praying for him.
In a recent interview, Donald Trump explains who Jesus is to him. He was asked, "Who do you say Jesus is?" He said, "Jesus to me is somebody I can think about for security and confidence." He also said, "Somebody I can revere in terms of bravery and in terms of courage, and because I consider the Christian religion so important, somebody I can totally rely on in my own mind." He was recently asked in an interview if he'd ever asked for forgiveness.
I just got one more, because you used the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if If I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody, I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right.